and pleasure. But also words like office, official. Also the word copy comes from ops, because to copy is to make it, to make it many, and that produces wealth. So when you go to work in the office, you're working in the temple of ops. And when you're working as an official, you're working as a priest or priestess of ops. So if we realise that actually, if we all work properly for ops and Saturn to restore the planet to the golden age that it should be, we can put to bed the divisive sort of later Saturn that's overlaid that with this kind of, the sort of intelligence that is all about either or and power and win-lose. What the original Saturn was about was win-win, which is what conflict resolution experts like me say is the only solution. So we have to find a solution in the mind of the original Saturn and Ops and the original Amun that is a win-win for Israel and Palestine. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm suggesting we do much more studying. We get the periodic table in every Israeli and Palestinian school. I'd be happy to talk to any educators in both countries. And also ministers of education through UNESCO and so on need to realise this is serious. We can't afford to keep giving the negative Saturn the power to keep fighting in all this way. There is no military solution to this problem. There has to be therefore a cultural, an intellectual and a spiritual solution. We have to use HI and activate DI in the way that I'm talking about. I hope, all I can say is if you can understand what I'm talking about, then please let's get on with it together. Okay. And same of what I've said can all be applied also to the Ukraine-Russian war. We need to reactivate the, our desire to live in peace upon this planet. After all, these Russians and Ukrainians, they're all, very profound, amazing people. And I've known many great Russian intellectuals. They understand what I'm talking about. The trouble is, the people around Putin, these are thugs. They're clever sounding thugs like Lavrov, but they lack moral intelligence. And they haven't activated the level of depth of wisdom that Amun hides in the depths of the divine darkness. So, please do some more studying, folks. And yes, let there be a ceasefire between in both those conflict situations, and also finally in Armenia, where tragically Nagorno-Karabakh has had conflicts, and lots of people from Artsakh have had to flee, refugees. Again, there's a strong Zoroastrian culture inside Armenian culture, but also in Azerbaijani. There are Zoroastrians actually in Azerbaijan still. So these are also brothers fighting each other. We have to go back to the root unity at the core of all civilizations. And that's not any one prophet can do that. It's not we have to go back to Muhammad, or we have to go back to Jesus, or we have to go back to Ali or Moses or Abraham. We have to go back to all of them. In a sort of brotherhood, sisterhood of wisdom workers, and find their common wisdom. And that's what I've done through the Tarot of the Gods, because all those prophets and sages, they all make their entry in here. Right, okay, let's go and let's look at the next one, see what else comes up. Do you have any questions for that so far?
Let's see. Do I have any questions?
He looks like Father Christmas, eh?
He does.
And also a bit of an old druid. The sickle is the symbol of the druids as well.
Are they usually smaller?
A bit smaller, yeah. Yeah, that's more like a scythe. But in fact, yes, you see the druid Celtic ancientness goes back to the same time as the original Saturn of the Golden Age. So that's why Merlin is and the Druids were good magicians, because they were that ancient, from the time of when the Romans were still in that early phase of the Golden Age. And the Father Christmas archetype is in a sense that it's jolly, friendly, Saturn coming, bringing presents, bringing jollity, festivity and Christmas cake for everyone. So, yeah, that's why he looks like he does, really. Okay, let's do another two then, see who turns up. We need some DI.
Yes, here it comes. Ingfrey?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Ilmarine.
Okay, we're going up north now.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. So we have first, if I can find the right page, we have Ing, who is an amazing deity of the English or Anglo-Saxons and the Scandinavian people. And in the Tarot of the Gods, he's the Knight of Water, which is in volume 2 of the work. Yes, we need water. It's not been raining enough recently here in France. The ground is very dry. The trees are getting very, brittle, leaves and stuff. We need a lot of Ing energy to come down. Ing is also rune, which is like two interlocking shapes. Ing is a very beautiful rune who stands for fertility and life and love. If you get Ing as a rune, it means everything's going to be fine. You're going to find your perfect consort. You're going to fall in love deeply. He was famous for his love of Eros as well. And, we all know that when you're in love with somebody, or that feeling, or it could be you're just in love with spring or something, that there's an energy in your step. And that word, Ing, is in English, meaning a verb. So it often occurs in words to mean an activity. Drinking. I'm drinking tea, actually. And that means the activity is happening. The drink is an ongoing process of drinking. I'm thinking means Ing is hovering over my thoughts. I'm intellecting, which is a term I borrowed from Abelard, means I'm using my intellect as a verb, as a process. I'm loving. Ing is hovering over my capacity for love, and so on and so on. Now, I can demonstrate in my philological work that there's a correlation between the Ing verbal element and Ing, the deity or archetype. Interestingly enough, when I went once to Norway, I've been many times to different parts of Scandinavia, I love it. I went to the one museum in Norway, and they have found in Norway these big phallus stones which represent Ing. Ing was shown as a big phallus and was in a temple. Now that's exactly what the Hindus do with Shiva, and the Japanese Shintoists do. There are these phallic stones all over the Japanese countryside, just for sacred things. Because what they're saying is sex is really, really sacred. It's holy. It's where we come from. And that's where Ing comes from. So we should celebrate life. So really, and love and Eros are connected with liquidity, water. So as we love, we become watery. When you fall in love with somebody, it's like there's a sort of wateryness comes over you. Well, that's Ing at work. So the entry here goes into a lot more detail. He was also called Frey. That was his other name. I'm just going to pause there. If you want to hit pause.